Welcome to the guide, Exile. In this build guide, we're going to be exploring the Witch. More specifically, a melee Elementalist Witch. Now before you get on the Elementalist isn't a good Ascendancy, she just eats glue train. Let me explain a bit about the build here. With the recent updates to the Elementalist, we actually gained some immense power from two of her Ascendancy nodes. The Mastermind of Discord node allows us to reserve Herald of Ash, Ice, and Lightning, with increased effect, 25% penetration for each element, and reduced reservation. This is great for gaining extra damage, especially against bosses, and opens up the option for a fourth aura of our choice. However, it is the Beacon of Ruin node update that is the strongest here. We get a guaranteed 10% chill slow out of a maximum of 30%, and a guaranteed 20% shock out of a maximum of 50% if we have the chance of applying those ailments with either of those element types. Chill will slow enemies' action speed by its percentage, while shock will increase the damage that they take by its percentage. We are most interested in the shock from this node. A solo increased damage modifier on an enemy acts as another more multiplier for our damage, effectively providing us another link to our main skill. So this shock, by default, will be a 20% more multiplier to all of our damage, and even any party members that attack the same shocked target. But wait, there's more! We can actually scale this 20% shock all the way up to its cap of 50% by getting percentage increased effect of shock or non-damaging ailments from the passive tree and items. If we garner a total of 150% increased effect, we will always apply a 50% shock. From the Beacon of Ruin node, we already get a 20% increased effect of non-damaging ailments, so we now have a 12% chill and a 24% shock. With our build, we managed to squeak out 125% increased effect of shock for a 45% shock applied on any target. Yes, I said any target, even Shaper. Usually for Shaper, you are required to hit him for over 370,000 damage in one hit to even apply a measly 1% shock. With the Elementalist, we simply have to hit him with lightning damage, and we get up to a 45% shock. Now do you see the power in the Ascendancy? Not just a pure glue eater here. And oh yeah, we're a melee Elementalist, utilizing a physical-based Claw, Reave, and Blade Flurry for silly elemental damage stacking from Heralds and gained as sources. I would like to thank one of my loyal and beautiful viewers, Jamzuz, the Destroyer of Builds, for his Tri-Herald Reave Elementalist build idea. The shocking Reave Elementalist is an incredibly fun and satisfying character to play, and turned out to be way more powerful than I had originally thought when presented the idea. It can be made on a budget for sure, but to get the most out of it, you will need to spend a bit of extra currency on gearing. I was able to put together this character here for around 5 to 6 exalts total, excluding the 6 link which I got lucky on. However, a 5 link will work just fine as well. Offensively, we are using both a physical to elemental conversion Reave and Blade Flurry. We place Reave in a 4 link for clearing and make use of a Blade Flurry in a 6 link for single target. We are largely carried in our clearing and coverage by our amazingly satisfying and game-freezing Herald and Inpulsa explosions. It is just so titillating whirling into a large pack of monsters and watching the game hitch in anticipation, and then everything just explodes. As mentioned and explained in the introduction, we are also applying up to a 50% shock on all targets for more damage. Since we're going physical to elemental conversion, we can make use of gained as sources of elemental damage, such as hatred and global modifiers on Shaper scepters that we use in our offhand. Finally, we use claws, so we go for critical strikes. Defensively, we freeze and chill enemies before they can even hit us. If we are unable to completely freeze enemies, we can make use of grace for more evasion, and then acrobatics and phase acrobatics for another layer of damage avoidance. Since we're using claws, we also get access to life gained on hit implicits and the use of a Bloodseeker that gives us instant leech for keeping our life pool on full at all times. Finally, we use a fast movement skill, Fortify, and Flasks for some extra layers of mitigation and avoidance. As for playstyle, we simply enable our Blood Rage and then whirling blades into enemies and let loose the Herald explosions. Reave's AoE will grow up to a maximum of 4 stages, 1 stage for each enemy hit. It will remain at 4 stages for 3 seconds, and refresh this duration for every enemy hit. If no enemies are hit within those 3 seconds, it will fall back down to no stages. With increased AoE, the Elementalist's rotating AoE buff, and Herald explosions, this is more than enough AoE to cover the entire screen without Vol Reave. However, you may use Vol Reave if you'd like. For bosses, you simply want to drop your Ancestral Totem and use Blade Flurry. Make sure to charge to 6 stacks and release with Blade Flurry for the most brutal damage results. The passive trees and Path of Building Pastebin are included in the description. Pros of the build. It has massive and satisfying Herald explosions. I gotta say, these look real pretty. It's a very fast mapping character and gets very good coverage. It's a very competent boss killer dealing out heavy damage. Hey, we get to play as a melee witch. That's pretty unusual. Cons. You can't get a massive life pool without serious investment or sacrificing certain unique pieces that we use. It can be expensive depending on the time of the league and chosen itemization. Due to this, it is not a great league starter. For class and Ascendancy, we are choosing the Witch and Elementalist Ascendancy. Pendulum of Destruction is a powerful, albeit inconvenient, rotating buff of elemental damage or area of effect. It does, however, feel amazing when the AoE is up. Mastermind of Discord lets us reserve all of our heralds at an increased effect, reduced reservation, and 25% penetration for each respective element type. Shaper of Desolation provides us a rotating conflux that guarantees that we will apply each respective ailment when conflux is up. However, we will be applying all ailments due to dealing all elemental types, and we are critically striking. Finally, Beacon of Ruin, our powerful and treasured node, gives us the guaranteed chill and shock along with some ailment proliferation. For Ascendancy progression, I would follow this order. We grab the following keystones in the passive tree. Acrobatics. For 1 point, this keystone provides us a 30% chance to dodge attacks. Since we do not stack armor or block, this is very valuable. Phase Acrobatics. Due to the low defensive properties of the build, I found that grabbing the extra 10% attack dodge leading up to Phase Acrobatics and the 30% spell dodge chance from Phase Acrobatics to be very helpful in most all scenarios. Here's the complete endgame passive tree. Defensively, we make sure to grab all the life nodes that we can in the tree, along with dodge keystones. Offensively, we get a lot of critical strike chance, multiplier, shock effect, and elemental damage scalers that we can. I would follow this progression into the final tree. For bandits, we will be helping Alira, mainly for the critical strike multiplier and elemental resistances. For our pantheons, you can really make use of any of the majors, as well as any of the minors. They all provide very useful buffs depending on your scenarios. Here are the following gem links for the build. Support gem links are shown in order of importance. Gems with a set level are due to their effects not scaling with level, or requirements for cast when damage takens. This is the main 6 link for absolutely destroying single targets. This will be your clearing skill and does not require that much damage. In my build, I placed this in my Shaper Rare helmet, which also has a built-in Innervate support, providing a moderate 5th link. The Innervate isn't required for it to work, however. For major bosses, such as Shaper or Guardians, you can swap in Frenzy and Power Charge on critical to maintain your charges if you wish. You can also swap Ice Golem for Vol Reave and Mapping if you wish to do so. Here we are socketing an aura into an Essence Worm ring. We can use Hatred for more damage or Grace for increased defense. For our helmet, we will want to be looking for a shaped rare helmet with the Innervate and increased effect of shock hybrid roll on it, along with some life and accuracy if possible. I was able to get this helmet for a steal at 30 chaos. Other unique options can include the following. Here's the rare helmet affix priority. For the helmet enchantment, you'll want to look for Blade Flurry damage if you are going to be doing a lot of bossing, or increased Reave radius if you're going to be doing a lot of mapping. And Inpulsa's Broken Heart is the perfect chest for this build. It provides a massive amount of increased effective shock, increased damage if we have shocked recently, and we are unaffected by shock. On top of all this, it has beautiful lightning explosions based on a percentage of the enemy's health. meaning that it will help our clear even in super high percentage life maps. Try and get the highest effective shock that you can from this item. Here are some other unique options. If you choose none of these, you may also make use of a rare body armor with the following affix priority. Due to the use of unique gear on this build, we will need to fill in a lot of life and resistance with our rare gear. You will want to look for rare gloves with lots of life, resistances, as well as offensive affixes where applicable. Here are some unique options if you can make your resistances work. Here's the rare glove affix priority. For boots, we are going to be using the Storm Chargers for their increased effect of shock and percentage of physical damage converted to lightning to bring our total conversion to 80%. It isn't required to get 100% elemental conversion, and it only adds a small amount of damage if we do invest in the rest of the conversion. This is because a lot of our damage is elemental already from flat or gained as sources, so this 80% of our base is perfectly fine. Try and get the highest effect of shock that you can on this item. Here are some other unique options. If you choose to use none of these, you may also use rare boots with the following affix priority. For enchantments, you want to get the following. You want to get a rare belt mainly focusing on life, strength, and elemental resistances. A rare amulet will be our first option due to the necessity for life, stat requirements, and damage potential. As mentioned previously, one ring will be an Essence Worm. This ring will increase the reservation cost of our auras, namely our heralds, but lets us reserve another aura for free with bonus levels within the ring. This extra reservation cost is fine since we gain reduced reservation from our Ascendancy. As stated in the gems section, we can place our hatred or grace in here depending on the situation. Our second ring will be rare, focusing on life and resistances. Offensive affixes can also be grabbed if there is space. Here is the ring affix priority. For our main hand weapon, we will be using the Bloodseeker Claw. This is a very inexpensive unique that has wonderful property of instant leech. This means we won't have to worry about getting Vol Pact or leech rate. Here are some other unique options. If you do wish to make use of a higher DPS claw, you can also get a rare claw with 300 plus physical DPS, along with the life gained on hit implicit for pseudo instant leech. For our offhand, we will want to get a shaped rare scepter with as many gained percentage of physical damage as an extra elemental damage as possible. This can get very expensive with 2 or more of these mods, as they are effectively hatred auras with no reservation. The scepter base is best since it has a useful implicit and does not work with Reave or Blade Flurry, allowing us to stat stick it and not use it for its innate damage. This means you do not want to get something like a claw or a foil in your offhand, as that will be used within the Reave or Blade Flurry. A Doriani's Catalyst may be used in its place until you are able to afford one. For our flasks, we will be using the following. A Lion's Roar. This is a very strong flask for us since we are a physical base for our conversion, granting us more damage to almost all of our sources. Aziri's Promise. An excellent offensive choice and especially strong for elemental conversion builds as we benefit from both flask affixes. Stibnite. This is a great defensive flask, greatly increasing the evasion chance by applying blind to any nearby monsters. Diamond Flask. This is used to bring our critical strike up. And finally, you will want a life flask, preferably rolled with increased recovery rate. As for jewels, I will provide the affix priority for both regular and Abyss jewels. Surprisingly, leveling this build was really easy and not a complete hassle. It will, however, require some investment into leveling uniques and isn't the best build to start a league with. I was able to rush through leveling in almost one sitting. I leveled with Sunder until I could equip Blade Flurry, as Reave's coverage and attack speed with the Witch is lackluster to begin with. When using Blade Flurry or Reave, remember that it will alternate weapons, so ensure that you have 2 good weapons or an unusable offhand that provides global stats, such as the Moonbender at level 39. Here I immediately began using Multi-Strike with Reave as it helps with our coverage and attack speed. I swapped this in my tabula for Blade Flurry on single target for bosses while leveling. From here, you'll want to fill out your supporting gem setups and replace support gems in your main links with the ones in the guide. Once you begin to fill out some critical strike within your passive tree, you can drop increased critical strikes. So, you all thought the Elementalist was a meme. Where is your god now, Exiles? This Reave-slashing, glue-huffing Mementalist has been one of my favorite builds to speed through maps with, and comparable to the Molten Striker for bossing. The explosions are just a wonder to the eyes, ears, and gives you that special tingle. If you're looking to try out an off-the-beaten-trail witch build, this is the one for you. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, Exile.